There's been a lot of Jade Helm 15 YouTube videos put out. I've myself have put one out. I didn't feel this is the year they're going to enact martial law. I see it more as an intimidation tactic. But I sat back and I tried to figure out why they're doing it. And I think that's an important element. So I'm going to focus today on I believe Jade Helm 15 is a response to what happened at the Bundy Ranch. Now, it didn't get a lot of media. At the time, it got a little coverage. But it was a really important moment in our history because recently, a rancher out in Nevada, through legislative action, mostly through a crooked senator by the name of Harry Reid, was given away land that has been in the rancher's family for over 100 years. He has been running cattle on this patch of land, and most people don't know this, but almost 70-80% of Nevada is owned by the Bureau of Land Management, meaning the federal government owns most of this land. And it was never put up to the citizens. It's all been crooked politicians in dealing with more crooked politicians out of Washington, giving up their land, taking monies here and there, none of which was voted on by the people. But, the Bundy Ranch found out one day that, hey, I can't make a living because you're limiting me to such a small amount of land. And they put the power of the IRS behind them. They said, well, you owe this amount of money in penalties and taxes. Well, it finally got to the point they couldn't stand it anymore. I think you all remember that moment where the Fox News reporter stands up there and says to the Bureau of Land Management, who are on the other side of the fence, hey, these people are serious. You're going to have to decide if you're going to fire on American citizens. And when this confrontation happened, they were given the order. By most people account, the Bureau of Land Management gave them the order to go ahead and fire on these American citizens who were coming to take the cattle back for the Bundy rancher. Well, they didn't do it. They chose not to fire on their fellow American citizens. And I think that sent shockwaves to the power elite. You've got some very powerful concerns who pay a lot of money to buy their politicians, and they expect that the people below these politicians will fall in line. So I believe that moment sent a message to the federal government that, hey, these American sheeple are starting to wake up that indeed they're in charge of it. We need to send them a signal. So that's why I believe Jade Helm has evolved. I believe Jade Helm, with all its psyops, sending military equipment crisscrossing over the country, calling states hostile, I think it is the power elite, the military-industrial complex, the bankers, responding to an American populace that has finally realized that, hey, we got to take our country back. So, there's a lot of discussion on the internet on what Jade is, what Helm is, and I believe more than anything, it is an example of our government basically sending the signal that, hey, we're in charge. We pay a lot of money to our politicians so that we get what we want, and when you stand up against us, look what we could do to you. We all know hanging out there is martial law, and we all know that this process is them pushing back. So as we go forward, we have to decide as American citizens, are we going to tolerate a political class that It feels like the military, they own the military. Now remember, for the bankers to have this kind of power, they rely on foot soldiers to ultimately stand behind them. And when that didn't happen at Jade Helm, or I should say Bundy Ranch, they had to come out with a program like Jade Helm to scare the American people. Because remember, when 2008, when everything locked down, they through subprime lending, the bankers were about to lose millions and billions of dollars. The five largest banks got together and said, "Hey, wait a minute, guys. We got to get the money from the taxpayers. We made the mistake, but we got to hold the taxpayers responsible, and we have to pull money from them." So at the time that Paulson was running around saying the world was going to come to an end, it was a manufactured crisis. Five big banks got together and say, nobody lends money until we get $1 trillion from the American taxpayers. And we as American citizens, through our elected officials, who again are in the pocket of these wealthy bankers, convinced us that we had to bail out foreign entities known as AIG. They were the backstop to all these subprime lending, so they were the ones that were going to go under. If everybody came to the market all at once, AIG was going to go under. And the bankers' fear was not that all banking would be gone, but they would take a significant haircut. That's why when we see this Greek debt going on, this Greek crisis, you know, at first, most people sit back and say, well, those people from Greece, they got to work harder. They've got to defer their retirement. They got to buy into this austerity and buckle down. Well, what they're saying, just like we said at the Bundy Ranch, hey, I didn't make this debt. The 1.7 billion that they borrowed from the IMF, it didn't go to the Greek citizens. It's not like they're sitting on the beach eating Greek yogurt, enjoying themselves. What happened was all that 1.7 billion that was borrowed from the IMF went to the banks because they got caught doing the same real estate gamble that other banks did. So again, the banks put onto the people the debt and the austerity, not for their benefit, but for the bank's benefit. So here we are second guessing the Greek people, saying, "Oh, you gotta pay your debt." Well, it's not their debt. They finally are standing up and saying, "Hey, this is their money. You want money from them." Well, the banks are now taking, or will be taking, up to 30%, the report says, right out of deposits. If you got your money in a bank, a Greek bank, you're going to wake up one day, let's say 10,000 euros, you're going to wake up, you have 7,000 euros. And they just took it out of your account. So who's in charge? Is it the American people? Is it the Greek people? No, it's these bankers. It's this banking elite that feel they could take without impunity. And I think we're at a tipping point here. I think most of these countries are now saying, you made the mistake, you take the haircut. Stop enslaving my children for generations to pay off money. See, the game is played this way. You get a politician who can't live within his means, let him spend endlessly through fractional reserve banking. Guess what? That's how banks make money. They lend money to people. And if you find a person who you collude with, who say, make sure you don't spend what you have, spend more than what you have, because that's where I make money. I'll lend you the money, but remember, you don't have money, and the real money is in the hands of the taxpayers. But with your position, we could reach into their bank accounts and take 30%. We can go to the taxes, raise their taxes. So in a way, they have found a person to extract money from just hardworking, both American and Greek citizens. So it's time that we push back. And that's what happened at the Bundy Ranch. We're getting fed up with the government thinking they can take from us. So when we pushed back and they did not respond, well, then the bankers had a problem. So no doubt this Jade Helm is going to go on for the next few years, desensitizing us to the military moving equipment all over the country, to us being pushed, sort of like a shark bump, just letting you know, oh, I'm out here. And you better do what our politicians say because we paid a lot of money for them. So that is my interpretation. I believe Jade Helm is our military-industrial complex, the big government, and the global bankers sending a message that, hey, we're in charge, and you guys better sit down and shut up. And I don't know if they've got... I don't know if they're well positioned enough at this moment in time. I mean, people are at the point, what do I have to lose? You've taken everything from me, and most importantly, you've taken my children's future. And for that, I'm going to hold you accountable. So I hope we do what's right. I hope we let them take the haircut. We put them back in their place. The only way we're going to do it is if we dissolve the Federal Reserve. Regional banking works. Having a central bank does not work. Our founding fathers were aware of that, and we're now learning it the hard way that they inflate the economy, they collapse the economy, and then they take from us what they want. So we need to, as American people and our brothers in Greece, stand up and say, you the ones that created this debt, you're the ones that are going to take the haircut. We're going to continue to run our country as we see fit.